That sounds totally different.
I feel like this is very different. Okay, we're gonna get started. Welcome everybody. I hope you're enjoying education so far. My name is Tim Best, and I teach students science here at SLA. And I believe that inquiry and project-based learning helps my students learn critical thinking skills.
My name is Quan. I'm in 10th grade, and I believe project-based learning allows students to progress.
Hi, my name is Casey. I'm in 12th grade here at SLA, and I believe project-based learning has allowed me to develop a better understanding of myself and also the world around me.
Hi, my name is Rikwa, and I believe that inquiry has taught me that it's not always about the right answer, it's much bigger than that.
Hi, my name is Darlene. I'm in 5th grade, and I believe that project-based learning allows me to learn how what I'm being taught can be applied in the real world.
My name is Shiloh. I'm a sophomore, and I believe project-based learning is a way to teach students to take what we have learned and put it in a creative plan.
My name is Kayla, and I think project-based learning will show my knowledge of creative.
My name is Miguel. I'm a sophomore. I feel like inquiry allowed me to be creative.
My name is Amal Giknis. I teach students English here at SLA, and project-based learning has shown me that the tiny world of our classroom is just that the learning my students take away is much bigger than anything I give them.
We're gonna give you this piece of paper. Take a couple minutes just to look at the two prompts on the front. The front has a title that's partially cut off. They say like what different things, something about inquiry and something about project-based learning. What different things make inquiry successful and what different things are necessary for projects to be successful? Feel free to talk to people you're sitting here. Just write down some ideas before we even get started. What makes inquiry work and what makes projects work? Here. Where's your one orange?
Collaboration, core values.
Hi, how are you?
I did too.
It allows people to develop their thoughts and ask like a lot of times you're in the school, you don't think to question what the teacher says. You just like you're taught to like listen and like, you know, reciprocate all of that. But like here, like when you ask questions, you're not like that one answer. Like there's so many more answers, and it's not all about having the right answers. It's about like the thought process and taking just like all of that thinking and allowing it to apply it.
You should sit with a table where there's sit at a table where that one over there. Take about one more minute.
Yeah. A lot of times we have like really good students that aren't good at standardized testing. They're really creative here, and like we're taught here to take their creativity and put it into a project instead of like
Like prompt or how does it set you up to ask?
It's not like,
the teachers they help like basically make the environment really safe depending on them, and so like they just help you with the transition and all of that. So they don't give like a huge project. They start off with small things, small tasks. They'll have checkpoints, especially in 9th grade. There are like small checkpoints along the way of your project. So the teacher like checks this all the time. That are like 5 points, and it like it gets you into like.
All right, finish up whatever final thoughts you're on.
Taking little pieces and putting it all together into one thing. And all about me, like magazine. Yeah, that was and we had to like write like a small biography and like interested in stuff, and then we took that, and then at the end we like kind of remade it.
Okay.
Or all about me, and like just like that.
We are going to take a little time now. I think everyone that's here is going to share a little something that they've done here, a project that they've done. We've asked them to keep it pretty quick because I don't know, there's 7 or 8 of them, and we don't want to spend all day just presenting. But the idea is to like show a variety, and each student is going to try to focus on like one thing, like one aspect of the project that works for them, or they really learn from, just to kind of give a range of what some of the things we do. So Shallow's going to go first.
And I'll say, hold on to your questions also, because the kids will be here to talk to you about their projects. You can ask them to go more in depth throughout the session.
I believe there's a section on your handout for
Yeah. In fact.
All right, Shallow, hit it.
So I'm going to be presenting my astronomy project, which is defend or attack. So you were assigned a planet, and you had to pick if you were an alien or a human. Then you had to research that planet and decide on a main base on fighting faculty, and then design weapons to defend or attack. So this is some of the things I had to research. The orbital period, I was using Mercury, and I was a human. So I had to defend Mercury, and so here's some information I needed to find. So the orbital period, average orbital radius, the eccentricity of orbits, orbit, rotational period, mass, and axis tilt. And then he gave us some of the stuff that, like, since I was a human, I had to defeat all the aliens. So some of the poisons were like water vapor and carbon dioxide. So I created a water vapor gun. And since Mercury is like super hot and also really cold, you would go in the colder area to get the water, and then go in the hotter area and evaporate. Shoot them with the water vapor gun, and then they die. And then there's carbon dioxide. And then you put them around, and then they come in proximity, and then it will kill them. And so, yeah. And then you had to research different areas on Mercury or in the planet that you were given to figure out where to put your main base. So mine was on the north pole of Mercury, and then my mining faculty is also on the north pole of Mercury because there's water in the craters. So this is like some of the detail and some of the information on Mercury, like where the craters are, some of the impact basins, which are like Dolores, and where like meteors and things in like hit the planet.
Thank you, Kyla. Who's next? Carly, can you just hit the next slide? Are you next? It's the keyboard on the table. Sorry, but
Me.
we got it.
So basically for this project, we had to make a catapult right here out of sticks. This was for Algebra 2. Basically, we had to throw a little ball on the target, and then what the teacher had us use the map program that will lay out points, and then we had to make a graph with points, a parabola, and a linear function. Then we had to find the vertex and throw it on them, and then we had to scale it up. I scaled it up by 5, and then we had to make another target and shoot it there.
Thanks again, now.
So this is a project I did my freshman year, and it's my Best Creative project. And so we read the play Macbeth by William Shakespeare, and we had to create a project that like shows off your understanding of the text. And so we were given like a list of items, and my partner and I, we really liked like the list that we that was like given to us, like a playbill or like a video. And so we created a Disney version of Macbeth, a musical, and we wrote lyrics, and it was like all Disney. So like for example, like instead of do you want to build someone, do you want to kill King Duncan? So that's our album cover, and it really like taught us how to be like really, really creative with our projects, and a lot of like close reading. Like we really have to take quotes from like all of our things and include them in like all of our lyrics and stuff.
Now, this project focused mainly on creativity, student choice, and research. So students, everybody was told that this is, if you wanted to lead something, a country, an empire, this is how you need to do it. So we were really free to do a lot of things.
And so we had researched different things for our empire, so the social, the government, and the military, and we had to use those things we researched when we put them into our empire and compete against other students in our empire, and so there was one empire extending.
We use very detailed notes. This project mainly focused on sourcing and collaboration and just proving why your empire lasts. These are two examples of empires. That is my empire, the Macedonian Empire, the greatest empire in history. Yes, and
Other one's mine, and then you do a roll-up. And when we did this, we also had to consider where we put our empire, like what land we choose. I chose New Zealand, Hawaii.
I chose the colonies and a lot of what the British Empire chose to conquer.
Because mine was 3 islands, I chose to have them kind of unified but separated because they're all separated by ocean. And that was supposed to represent the plant life on there because it was really abundant in it, especially in Hawaii. And then I just liked the colors. I thought they looked nice together.
So my flag, the green is for energy. It's a lightning bolt. It's a lightning bolt because it's mainly for the military Poland and lightning. So it was for power and strength. I think that's it.
I'm Casey.
There we go.
And we're the seniors. So the project I chose to focus on is like prime time example of like the amount of freedom that seniors get. So this was our unit in my English class, Design Your Own Learning, and it pretty much focused on a lot of social change and how we work in the world around us. And it was pretty much we were given in the beginning of the unit, we read a lot of articles and we had a lot of material to be inspired by. And then our teacher said, all right, now go out and do something and like make something, whatever you want, just like it has to be something. And I just had to be something like, you know, if it was meaningful to you, it had to, you know, it was more, it resonated better. So I had no idea this project would turn out to be really personal to me. I focused on race and racial structure in middle school and in high school, and the fact I went to a pretty much all white middle school. There was no minority representation at all, pretty much. And whoever was minority, they weren't recognized really in a room full of white people. So I chose that, and I took it, and I pretty much documented my experience from middle school coming to SLA, which is like totally different from that and really open and really awesome. And so I was able to interview other people on their experiences as well and get a lot of different perspectives on how people learn about race and how people interpret it and how open people are to it. And yeah, it was pretty sweet and it was really awesome. And I think the fact that it was so personal and really interesting to me made it such a better project.
Go off of that. I learned a little bit of teacher talk before, so I could communicate something. Okay, so in 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, we're doing a lot more scaffolding. Funny new word. So like a lot of checkpoints, a lot of like a little bit more restrictions, so like the teachers know that we're getting the bigger picture out of it, and then once you move higher up, like building your book and in 12th grade, we get a full year to do a project of your choice. The scaffolding kind of goes away, and I like to think about it, we become buildings now, so we don't need it anymore. So for my capstone, again, it's very personal to me as well. I wanted to focus on the South Asian issue of skin lightening and skin lightening creams, how that affects the sexual beauty, what that means to different men and women, and you know what the media tries to say about beauty through these commercials, why they are even trying to sell it in the first place. So I'm definitely at the beginning stages of what I want to do, but I think I want to kind of do like a blog-ish kind of thing where I interview different people from all different kinds of backgrounds, like maybe my mom who knows people who you know, use these creams, maybe even like talking about my own personal experience. what people have kind of told me about what it means to be beautiful, what dark, like just I want to talk about the relationship people have with their skin. And I think that, like, especially at SLA, it's so diverse. The more that I talk to people, the more I realize it's not just a South Asian issue. It exists in our country as well. So I'm definitely thinking of broadening it with me right now.
Wait, we have one more. This is Colette. Letty, what's your favorite color? And your favorite game? Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we can turn this paper over.
And we want to give you guys a chance to chat with each other and also with our students. We're gonna have them kind of circulate and you can feel free to like pull them if you teach, astronomy yourself. I need to learn more about that astronomy project. Please feel free to like call that a little bit and things like that. Think about the following question. What are the different strategies that help learners tackle complex content? Because we're not talking about watering down the standards. We're not talking about like in what different ways can the flow of projects be structured from beginning to end? What does that look like? In what different ways can projects fit into units? How can this change the things you are already doing, or how can this fit within that structure? And how can assessment be meaningful and lead towards growth? Which is a bigger question. And chat with each other, chat with our students, chat with us, and we'll come back together.
Okay.
Great.
Good, good.
So the checkpoints are pretty much and then
Oh, you said the thing?
they describe each checkpoint.
Oh.
So like, for my astronomy project currently, so I had to finish my research mainly because so they give us the checkpoints and so there's a calendar all of the teachers are shared into. So they put the checkpoints for the dates and the projects so that the teachers and students so like they coordinate that but it always comes together and they give us all the yeah, usually there's projects that's happening. They give us experience where's dedicated to just working so that you don't have to rush we're just get a portion of that. But then you have time to focus on class. And then they also teach you how to work. So usually they do take 20 minutes to teach you something that could help you like further grasp concepts that are in computers. So like we were doing a project in biology in this class, and it was a genetics project. I learned phonics terms, and so we had to. I had like a sentence transition, so we learned how to figure out to predict if there were two people who had disease, what their children, like what the chances of their children had disease. So he taught us that, and that was the next one. Then he gave us that. So he's the rest of
The project is really, the map is really show off much more
in my story, it's a lot of they have websites. They also research, so you can email them and they're like, I can find this one, and they'll be like, they'll find it for you, and then they'll show you.
They don't do
Some classes they create it's more really, they give you like they give you project and then it's one day put it all together and organize it. So you can kind of organize your time in class and try to make
I never put that like intro on it. So like this kind of comment, reinforce it as the same line in that class.
But the only difference is that they get a review so that's just like we break down 5. So we did 5 was something and then we work together in our
Okay, so
Every class.
they're all just kind of, we had, so like by this stage, but it wasn't much of my favorite. The only time we would be able to be at, we actually went to our play, so we, it wasn't really like, I guess, meeting every single time we were kind
I guess this year we did.
Yeah, so you really
Sign up with companies.
and he likes to use the creative project and
We had to justify. We had next
I had no idea, like, when Black Friday started, now it's given an opportunity to, like, bring it to the like, actually get what you're learning.
What kind of fun stuff?
Actually, right now, and then there's a wall like and that's like so I ran a public and that's part of like I did a backwards so I went to my so I did like he went to school and he, this time last time, I think I saw him, I was wrong with that, I'm pretty sure he was representing. But he wants their, yeah, he
That's not bad. Yeah, we have like a rotating block schedule. And they're arranged in such a way that like but like they're not first class like on Monday and a second Tuesday and afternoon on Thursday. So but every day. So kids, the kids I'm using they have like higher class work. One day doesn't have any. So it's kind of cool, you know, like, I mean, like, maybe it's only have you know what I mean? I rotate them through different time of day. So they yeah. We do. We have every science teacher has I guess and then on Thursdays, and then yeah, so then we'll get into like grade, you know, like 10th grade teachers, that's very they're not, well, yes, but for science.
Well, we went through it ourselves, but we had we did where we had discussion.
So there's streams on that, but yes, for science streaming.
So it's like
very much do the same thing, but you may stagger people a little because so there's sometimes we get for science, but I think science is a good product. Yeah, we try to. There's a lot of things that like everyone does. They see it in class, and then I'd be like, because like most students covered up like their system, like any fifth grade teacher has that on the wall, and we all like talk about this. So you see a lot of like and like the science and work, they see a lot of commonalities from learning. Presentation is one of our projects. They are never off the hook for it's so amazing. And I don't just mean slideshows, like we make this like a quick this is for on a whiteboard, yeah, hold it up and tell you.
It's probably frustrating. Every drama, and it really helps me like get over like speakers to people. Like, I remember coming in, I said I was just like I used to stutter and say those sentences without being really nervous. When I was that's why I didn't have to do for the time. So like it was drama and like I was in I used to get to be I'm gonna be in some position like I'm like I had to like talk to different people and then the groups got larger and we were able to like go over the entire class members on the different stands. I would
say most in my class they tend to try to do topics have individual I would say 100% some sort of the first step was like each individual kid picked something they wanted to study, and they gave themselves a grant motor skills. Hearing, like that individual kid did a bunch of research about it, and write some ideas on how to help develop a grade. That was like step one. And then like you for a group, you all did that, and then you come together and like you share what you learned. And then together they deploy and address all four. So I could see their individual work, and then at the end there's always so I always try to work individually. Then the group thing is like it's hard. A lot of it is just like. But yeah, they will probably the number one. But they're amazing guys. It's tough to kick you everyone knows what's going to happen. I mean, so Philadelphia is every time project, and then the other day, I still need to see this. Well, there's like skyline. We look at grades. By far the biggest. Yeah, the big change here is we can do it. Probably How are you? But I think 10% are we got like a lot of them. It's kind of so easy to get rid of. I also know like everybody is always like structured for like It's like shocker. Gotta be that outside of one mile. Here, you can go to that school that's unblocked, or you can apply to it. And all of their you killed all that. So yes, if you grow up in we all forget. Yeah, like I'm very. We haven't lived in I don't know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, or we have like I'm 48. Oh, we do. We have one of our teachers, our health teachers, transferred. One of our other colleagues. Oh, yeah. Maybe they like it.
You know what takes the box?
It is like It's an art.
Yeah, it was showing how
Yeah. Well, the last yeah. We can have some people just get that. They're already.
Yeah, really.
So they have some. That's exactly.
Actually, it's, it must have been a few things, like, tests, because, like, through all of the tests, you can show what you learned, but there's certain things that you can't do in your project, and skill for it.
It's only 5 minutes.
But I have to remind them, we have to take the minutes, we have to take the minutes.
Anytime you go
Yeah, all
step,
the health,
one
like,
doesn't matter.
about, like, the, like, small
So, like,
standards.
how
And
easy
so,
it is.
all the that's where you're like,
And we do it very.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
3 of us being.
Like, I remember we had, an angle, like,
Shannon and the other half of that. So Steph is like, we're both grades and we're close to Shannon.
and we had to, like,
The 3 of us are on that. One of those days,
she tested us on that. We had like 5 standards that
Yeah. It's mostly just refining. So every year we do one try, like one new thing, or like scramble thing, or get redo one thing. Yeah, everything gets worked out, like some get worked out.
because like the creativity that goes into your essays and like all your
I do personally. I think everyone does, like, it's not like everyone does anything, but at the end of a project, it's always, and I usually try to do like half of it is like something about what you learned and what you made or did, whatever the other half is.
it wasn't just that it's like other skills. It was a new project. I consider like every day like learn how to do
I have personally, yeah.
like be like and always get like this thing. Like a creator mind.
Yeah, well, no, I get it probably. I mean, I think
Or
what projects would be like,
It's so hard. Yeah, so there's processing right now. And I spent so much of your days with it. I actually think it's so hard to create a program. It's like 5 months to create a program. Yeah, it's imagine how to create a character and then and that's different
There are. And then there's also.
I guess that's why I said this the least project based, just because like we did do the presentation teaching the class. And there's like so many experts and so much that class.
Bunch of projects. But I should
What is something you heard today that stands out to you? And also, students, we're going to invite you to respond to some of these questions. I'm tired of the sound of my own voice, and you are better than I am anyway. What are some things you heard today that stand out to you? What are some questions you have? What do you notice? What do you wonder about? Yeah.
So last time that I was here, I think it was Jeremy shared that when you guys design your projects, you're not trying to design a Lego kit, and that you don't want every kid's project to look the same. But you want the project to be open enough that each kid is designing something that addresses the question differently. And I think it was helpful to see some examples of that and also hear from the students that they weren't necessarily just doing that right off the bat in ninth grade. Have them talk about the process of learning the skills to make something that's not just going to get, and so that was my big takeaway.
So I'll talk about one here, and Sheila.
Yeah.
And they really show me how, it sounds like there's a lot of work that goes into these projects, but, and it'd be near impossible to get the teacher to be there every step of the way, but it's really great how all the students support each other and they go get peer feedback from a million different other students and what other students. Everyone just like help each other.
There's a lot of frustration in the ninth grade about why won't you just tell me the answer?
Oh, yeah, I get that.
And there's a lot of unlearning there where you're used to being told the answer and
Right.
or you're used to there being one
Right.
and we don't do that. So that's great. I love you.
So one of the students, I don't remember when, said, when we go and take a test, it's just not coming on a test, so we get it, you know, and then when you're making a project, it's creating something we want to do properly. And that's a huge thing.
Your students still obviously take the state assessments. Have you seen growth in those state assessments? And it's all- that's all cool.
I mean, we take the bio keystone as a science teacher, and our students do well on it. Like they're not killing it. Well, we end up in like third in the city, which sounds like awesome, and it is. But like the test sucks. You know, like the average.
I think we all agree with that.
Yeah, right. The average in the state is miserable, and we're well above that. You know, our kids are not trained to take tests, but they do learn the science.
We get 1 point more than you need if you study too much for those things.
Yeah, right.
When given the project to the students, is there a list of objectives that they know they have to
Yeah.
learn in order to do the project?
I've never given a project without giving the rubric and the exams, like that day one, you have the rubric, you have the standards.
And the checkpoints too, that like, they're checkpoints, so they give you the requirements and they like you have to like show like one of the requirements to the teachers on the checkpoint so they can see that you're actually like completing the project and you're done.
Yeah, lots of points for checking in, for conferencing, for redirecting, you know, you don't, and you've been in this position, like, well, why didn't you tell me that 4 days ago before I did all this work in the wrong direction? A lot of like, let me stop you right there, because that's not the objection, you're not considering all those other pieces. How can we revise this, what can we do right now to get more done?
What kind of feedback have you got from your students who are graduating here as far as their preparedness for going to the next level?
I've heard a number of things. On the extremely positive end of the spectrum, I am so proud of my time management skills. I had to learn that in high school because I had to other people. They are proud of their presentation skills. They have like a weird confidence about, they're used to talking to people even like every day in my class. It's like, okay, we'll turn and talk to your person about whatever. You know, there's some sort of collaboration presentation every day. They underestimated tests. They are challenged by being in a large room full of people being talked at for an hour, 2 hours. They, you know, have the skills they need. They know how to take notes. They know how to study, but they haven't had to do it in that way. And they figure that stuff out. But I'd say the challenges are the right ones as far as we're concerned. Like, yeah, it is challenging to sit in a room and talk to everyone. They're not used to that.
When you say they know how to take notes, is there a certain discipline that, does every discipline handle that differently? Or certain, you know what I'm saying? Or is there somebody you count on teaching that? Or
I think a lot of us do notes in different ways. Teachers have different styles. I'm sure that's in the students. I teach notes like specifically in English class, but I know.
In freshman year, we were located in the speakers class, and we had sticky notes where we had to like write down, check our sticky notes and go around and make sure that you're taking notes and you're getting it. So just reading about like taking note of what you're doing.
What about in other classes?
I know in Mr. Todd's class, we did something like, he had like a formula where he like, highlighted certain things, circled other things and stuff. And I don't remember what his exact formula was, but I kind of like took it and made my own thing out of it.
But so you're modeling different things and they kind of, by the end, hopefully they figure it out.
And there are some classes where like, these are the notes, you need to get these down. There are
Yeah.
ones that like, mapping the notes.
Yeah, Mr. Dutch is like, we have like a notebook, and we have one with the one with the what you've learned. So you can always refer back to your work, if you have any questions, and take notes, you can always look through to sit here.
What more I'm gonna do now, not like
Yeah,
what you're doing sort of.
You find you have mini lessons before many of the projects?
Yeah, like delivering content, getting practice.
And how long does mini lessons usually last?
Depends on the day, it depends on the activity. Yeah, learning activities look kind of different. And sometimes there is, you know, and as educators, you know this, like, sometimes there's a thing I know that I need to deliver to you. Like, I have to give you this content in some way. And it's thinking about how do you deliver that content? What's the most meaningful way to deliver that content in a way that is retained? Is it me just telling that to you? Is it me presenting it to you? Is it you doing something that gives you that knowledge? More often it's the latter than the former. How do you give skills and content?
And I never asked about assessment, I will, forget that I never asked about assessment. So like, I know you have that standard assessment, don't you have that standard, does it skew off that, do you have like a rubric and standard? Rubric and SLA, what's it?
We talked about this a lot, my people over there. We have one big rubric, which should, Mr. Butch.
Yes.
Essentially, there's application, there's process, presentation, design, and there might be knowledge. So that rubric is constant throughout every class. You're rated the same way for every class, pretty much in terms of what you need to do and what you need to have, but every rubric is kind of altered to the specific project that you're doing. So I guess knowledge could kind of look like, how did you present, like how do I know you know something? Presentation, did you communicate that well? Design, does it look professional and organized and everything? Application, how did you get to where you are now? Process, how did you get to where you are now? Pretty much the rubric is the same, but it's so adaptable and so nice that you learn to work with it in every class.
Like, if you could just always give a rubric at the beginning, it's built off this and then like scaffolded in a way that.
Yeah, and the like bare bones of the rubric is on our website at scienceleadership.org. Poke around, it's somewhere on there. Yeah, I change it for each project and assess it. But it's always like the numbers are about the same depending on how many points the thing is worth. But it's always exceeding expectations, meeting expectations, approaching expectations, or not meeting.
And do you assess it within or is it at the end? Or do you have different assessment points along the way? Like in those checkpoints?
All of
It
it.
depends on the thing.
I was impressed with that, Casey just made a rubric.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
I mean, you don't have one of your.
Well. No, what I mean is that, like, we have the design application knowledge presentation process, and, you know, like, in a science class, when we're designing experiments, that feels like design to me, but it could also be application, because they're applying their knowledge, you know, so like,
Whereas in my class, like design is almost always like the thesis, like, you know, for an English class, like this is, if you design this based on an argument, and that's like your
And you kind of spell that out a little.
Yeah, and that's fleshed out in the rubric, like they always know exactly what, they know what an A looks like, but they also know that that's not like the thing, like the thing is.
You guys give the Philadelphia school district report card? Do they receive that report card, the same one the other Philadelphia schools get?
So what would you recommend in terms of like someone that's just like getting into being project learning, wants to get ideas, provide ideas or model based projects? Usually on any models, like any suggestions or like the websites they have like the models and certain things.
Is it a project you designed or is it a project that you're?
It's a hypothetical.
Ask you for a friend.
I have, in my like early years of teaching, when I was reinventing the wheels, I would do my own project, and I'm less like, I don't know that that's my favorite. I don't like.
Do it as if you're a student.
I don't like my answer to that question. I immediately.
I feel like I found sometimes when I'm doing a project that if I give students like any kind of example or model or anything, that like a bunch of them just end up doing something like that, like they don't think of their own idea. So I feel like I prefer like not giving them any kind of model when possible, because they might come up with something better than what I can think of as a model.
And one thing we talked about back here is like never underestimate a student's imagination. They will, I've had students just do way more work than I thought was necessary for a project. You should let them, like they get into it, if they're really into it and they wanted to make this, like, yeah, I would be excited.
Well, that was into assessment too, because I'm like my third year trying this, so I still feel like I've got a long way to, a lot of things to figure out. But I've had kids who have given me something that if I just give them a rubric with specific things to follow, it might be a B-, but it's the best thing he's done in 4 years. So that kid got an A+, because, you know, why not? What do I care?
If you're the teacher, you can give them.
I can get whatever I want. And again, that kid, the first time that I've ever seen him, he didn't sleep, and he engaged with people in class, and he was excited about something. I don't even care what it looked like.
And that's
He gets it in.
what does a grade mean? Mastery, I think that's.
And are you creating room for learning that doesn't need exactly like those things? Is there room for that? Are you crafting language that supports that?
It was the first time you ever cared about my feedback too.
So here's another question. Sorry, I'm not a hand raiser. And I don't do it in my classroom either. So as far as research and then documenting their research, is there a template or a format that SLA follows as far as saying you've got to document or cite or whatever, where you've gotten your research from and where you've gotten your information from, so that you, going forward in the college, I mean, because let's face it, everybody sitting in this room that's been in college has had to do some kind of research, like it or not. So then we have to cite our sources and everything like that. So what do y'all have? Yes, I'm from the South. That you use to cite resources or to show where you've gotten your research from.
How do you do that?
Sure. For African American class, we had Chicago format. We had to make every thing Chicago format in part of the footnotes. We had to use footnotes. We had to use for
Yeah, I like Chicago.
yeah, I'm like Chicago format right away.
Just with that, there's a lot of, pretty much for every project, it's like, cite your sources at the end. But with history, it's like, where's your primary source analysis, stuff like that. With math, I mean, there's not really source, I mean,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Like, some teachers will like pick up some points that they're like way off. But still, because you have to know these skills in order to like write a research paper in college, like you were saying. So it is to benefit us at the end of the day. But because we have so much practice from 9th grade, it's easy to like build off of that.
So have you written like formal research papers in your process of your 4 years along the way?
Sometimes I give them like a research template or something, you know, in the maybe in 10th grade. I think it's good in seniors too if I wanted to move faster, you know, like we were talking about different scaffolding they use. That might just say like, I don't know, what is the science of this issue? What is like one viewpoint? What's another viewpoint? You know, just like boxes on a paper for them.
Right.
You know, like the handout we gave you today.
Right.
Just to help structure things.
There's no like definitive structure for citing sources, but we always do it.
Right.
I always forget to put it on project description.
I think that's kind of a science teacher thing. We kind of forget those
Yeah.
things. We're not like the history department that's so tight on that.
I mean, my thought is the thing is, once in a while you should be annotating those sources.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Especially
They learn to do
like
that too.
all the information, I mean, that.
Yeah, and it's really bibliographies for all.
That's a huge part of their
Yeah.
capstone.
Yeah. That's like capstone week is next week where our history, science, and English classes are like taken over by our senior project responsibilities. And one of the big checkpoints that we have to have done is our annotated bibliography of all of our sources. So yeah, we're right in that right.
It would be like varied sources and reliable sources and like, you know, use the library to actually, it's not like your first 10 Google hits.
I'm looking at the standard rubric right now that I pulled up online.
Yeah.
How much room, students, do you have to argue, to try and raise the rubric grade teachers gave you? And how much room do you provide students to, yeah,
I'll let them start on that.
We got a thing on the rubric that's like exceed expectations, and I guess that's where that well, you can do anything, you know, you can, if you want to raise your thing, you can do it.
Go off of that, like, because we're so like comfortable with our teachers, if we feel like there is something like maybe we deserve a little bit more, we feel like we can go talk to them and just have that conversation. It's not just about like raising the grade, it's like feeling comfortable enough with your teachers to know that like you're not like coming at them or their project, but you're just saying, you're just talking to them about what you think you deserve.
And being confident enough in your work to
Yeah.
have that conversation.
So I want to say, like, building on what they said, being confident talking to teachers and like having that comfortability, and like what my goodness said about like being confident in your work, and like if you truly like, I know that some people they truly believe that they should have got like instead of like an 87 or 90, and like I like seeing them like pull exact like quotes and like things from their like actual like essays and projects, or maybe it's like a research paper and they got like points based off of like one of our teachers thing, which is like controversial or like debatable, and like I seen them like argue the fact that yeah, this is more controversial than debatable, and like and seeing like how like that different type of structure happens. So yeah.
But then have your teachers ever put in a position you go to discuss or negotiate with them and you bring up a point and they say, okay, I see that. So now show it to me. Do they give you the chance to go back and rework that? If there's time to rework it and say, okay, you got a point, but you didn't show it to me in there, so go back and show it to me.
I don't think that is how the process works. I think whatever if you have like a legitimate justification for why your grade should be higher with your current like project with the project that you submitted, then yes, the grade can change. But I don't think they allow grade changes like going back into it. I don't know. I feel like that's a teacher question.
I guess for me, there are a couple schools of thought. Tim and I have talked about this a bit, how about like when you give students the rubric. I usually show them like a project that is meeting expectations does the following, and I give them the rubric like breakdown. And then I leave like what it means to exceed expectations kind of open, like what does that look like? I leave kind of open interpretation. And then if students, I'm pretty, my personal style is to be pretty vulnerable with students and let them know like I tried this and like and if I didn't read something as closely as I should have, or if I missed something, like please do bring it to me. And I hope they feel comfortable enough to have that conversation. And yeah, I don't know. There are times though that part of designing the process of a project is, if Jimmy submitted an essay with a thesis that's not debatable, like it's like that was my checkpoint number one. You turned it in, and my feedback to you was this is not debatable. How can you? Here are some suggestions for improvement. If Jimmy didn't do that and then submitted his final paper based on ignoring the feedback I gave him in the first place, at that point that's on Jimmy, and that's like a learning moment for him as well. Like that's feedback. So I guess I do try to tackle that. I feel it's my responsibility to foresee those
During the process
during
rather
the
than
process.
at the end.
Right.
It sounds to me like that issue isn't an issue at the end because there have been so many check-ins and so many conversations and so much feedback. about, that they already know, here's what you're doing well, here's where you need to work on, here's what.
I think we're either out of time or almost out of time, or beyond out of time.
Well, it's like 10 minutes late, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry, my bad, I missed you.
Other questions?
What do you use to assess your project? Is there anything specific you use, or is it just kind of looking for objectives? Is there like
To assess a
and
project.
let's say you're gonna start something new, or you're gonna really define what you already do. What is your any rubric you use to assess your project specifically, or no? You know, even like, is this rubric going to meet the criteria?
Like in my designing of a project, which I do all the time, I'm not like recycling projects.
Right.
Although some of them do really well. I guess the things I look at are our core values at SLA. I think about, those are the first 5 things I think about. How does this project include inquiry, research, collaboration, presentation, and reflection? Those are the 5 in every project. And then at SLA we use, I was talking about this in the back also, we use understanding by design, like UBD to design those things. And in my planning of it, like the project and the unit are sort of one and the same. In my designing of it, I'm putting learning activities or like an outcome that I already have in mind. So I kind of have, I make sure I have all my boxes checked. Is it a failed system? No. Like, have I backtracked a little bit in the middle once kids are well on their way? Absolutely. Yeah. But I'd say those are my gauges.
I feel like often for educators that are using project based on law, our desire is to focus a lot on rubric and grade, like those things, which I feel like from my time at SLA, for the students, like your whole life isn't about your grades. Did you guys talk about like where that priority falls for you, where like your grades versus what you're looking in the process?
I think this year was the first time I realized that pretty much everything I was doing in all of my classes, like I actually loved doing it, and I was really interested in doing it, and I didn't really care about the grade just because I knew that I was proud of it and it was going to do something later on. It wasn't just going to get me a B or an A. It was going to impact my community or like do something. So I don't really care about the grades. I think SLA has molded me to think about what's going to happen long term. Originally coming in, I really did. I would have like a panic attack if I got a B, just because like coming from a testing environment. But slowly, I guess through projects and through realizing the long-term impact something had, it kind of like tore all of my grade balls down and let me just be a person and not focus on a number that made me away.
Well, to close, we've asked you at the very bottom of your sheet, jot down 3 observations, 2 questions, and 1 specific goal for yourself. What are some things you take away from this? And this is something that we do with students all the time to close this. Like a simple 3, 2, 1.
Time to give up on this one. Still this one can last to a bell, still for
Okay, so we have like 2 minutes. If something mood strikes you, call out a final question you have. We're not gonna answer it, or a goal you maybe want to try for yourself, or just one thing that you just wrote down in your 3-2-1 box. Who's got something? Okay.
Are inquiry and PDL similar, the same, or different?
What else?
SLA students are really unafraid of sharing ideas and not really caring about the consequences of saying those things, which is a great thing.
There's feedback matters. Anybody else?
I love SLA.
Any? We should just end with that one. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, students. The one last thing is that if you're interested in learning more about this over the summer, the 3rd week of July, we have something called Summer Teacher Institute, which is more students are involved, some SLA teachers, and you're welcome to come and kind of do this for a week. More information on, you go to inquiryschools.org. You can find it there. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the weekend. And thank you for coming. Thanks. All right.
Oh, you say for another one, right? All the